Live updates: SpaceX's Starship rocket explodes after launch. The most powerful rocket ever built achieved important milestones during its first full test flight, which had no people aboard, but fell short of other goals. A setback for Elon Musk and SpaceX, but not a total failure. SpaceX's Starship rocket exploded on Thursday, minutes after lifting off from a launch pad in South Texas. The spacecraft, the most powerful ever to launch, failed to reach orbit, but it was not a total failure for the private spaceflight company. Before the launch, Elon Musk, the company's founder, had tamped down expectations, saying it might take several tries before Starship succeeds at this test flight, which was to reach speeds fast enough to enter orbit before splashing down in the Pacific Ocean near Hawaii. Even a completely successful launch would have only set up more test flights. The loss of SpaceX's Starship rocket roughly 4 minutes into a test flight on Thursday will send its engineers in search of answers about what went wrong. But even if the test had gone perfectly, the new system would still have been destined for many more tests. Starship didn't reach its goal of mastering the going up portion of spaceflight on Thursday, but assuming its builders achieve that goal on the next try, they will still have to sort out the other part of its revolutionary approach: getting all parts of the spacecraft on the ground safely so they can be reused. It is not clear when SpaceX will schedule its next test flight. Elon Musk, founder of SpaceX, suggested it will be several months, but if it follows the same plan as Thursday's test, it will not include an attempt to land the Super Heavy booster or the Starship vehicle. The rocket exploded. So why did SpaceX pop champagne? It doesn't take a degree in aerospace engineering to know that, ideally, rockets aren't supposed to blow up. So to those who aren't engineers, the explosion of SpaceX's Starship rocket on Thursday might have looked like a disaster, not the kind of result that should have prompted celebration from the SpaceX founder Elon Musk and his employees, who cheered what they considered a major success. Carlos Huertas, 42, a stage tech who lives in Los Angeles, was on the beach wearing a t-shirt sold by SpaceX that said "Occupy Mars." He flew in Wednesday with his brother-in-law for the launch. "I thought it turned out well until I learned it exploded," he said. He added that he felt a little disappointed even though we knew it was a big possibility. "We were excited to be part of a historic event. I am definitely coming back again." The rocket's launch and explosion was captured by a weather satellite, GOES East, that is managed by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. It uses visible satellite imagery combined with a particular band of wavelength that picks up fire temperature. The enthusiasm of the space fans who gathered for the launch was embodied by the mission's outcome. Carl Krieg, 69, and his wife traveled from Colorado for the launch and lingered on the beach at South Padre Island after the rocket exploded. "I'm so glad I've lived to see this," he said. "It was incredibly dramatic, one of those things on the bucket list." Jackie Dooley, 80, from Michigan, came for the launch with her niece. It was the first launch either had witnessed, and Dooley, whose brother and cousin worked at NASA, said it was about time she'd seen one, even if it didn't go how she'd hoped. "I would drive here to see it again," she said. "It didn't last long enough. We are stretching the limits of our capabilities, and that's great." Starship wasn't the only rocket lost in its first flight this year. Image. While SpaceX's Starship failed to achieve its full flight on Thursday, it isn't the only new vehicle to be lost in 2023, and each showed the challenges of building new ways to get to orbit. Able Space Systems, a California-based company, attempted its first launch in January from a spaceport on Alaska's Kodiak Island. About 10 seconds into its flight, the company reported, the RS-1 rocket's engine switched off, causing it to fall back into the launch site where an energetic explosion damaged facilities and equipment. The company said the cause might have been an unwanted fire within the rocket, likely damaged electrical systems. Able says that it has additional rockets in production for future test flights. Bill Nelson, the NASA administrator, congratulated SpaceX on the launch in a tweet. Nelson and all of NASA were sure to be watching the launch closely because a version of Starship is supposed to carry their astronauts to the moon's surface this decade. With SpaceX already looking ahead to the next test flight, it's worth noting that the launch pad appears largely intact after the enormous rocket lifted off, and engineers will have a trove of data from Starship's roughly 4-minute flight to figure out what didn't work. Despite the loss of the rocket, there's a palpable sense of relief among SpaceX employees, who have been cheering "Go Starship." One sprayed a bottle of champagne on colleagues. At SpaceX headquarters, there is loud cheering nevertheless on the video feed. That the rocket got off the launch pad was a major success. The explosion appeared as a spark in the sky over the Gulf of Mexico. The Starship rocket has exploded. Not long ago, residents in the border city of Brownsville, Texas, and the neighboring coastal village of Boca Chica could not have imagined that rockets designed for space travel would become synonymous with their community. But ever since Elon Musk brought SpaceX to this corner of South Texas, the two have become intertwined. Images of rockets and Mr. Musk's famous face have been immortalized on murals all over Brownsville. Talk of space travel reached a fever pitch as SpaceX's Starship rocket geared up for its first orbital flight. A group of SpaceX employees is gathered around a cell phone here watching the SpaceX live stream, which just showed a replay of crashes of earlier test flights of the Starship vehicle as they await the launch a few minutes from now. John Innsbrucker, a SpaceX engineer, said everything is looking good for the 9:28 a.m. Eastern Time launch, including the weather. SpaceX has started its live video feed, which shows a countdown of just over 30 minutes until the Starship launch attempt might occur. Elon Musk in a tweet 5 minutes ago said the flight is on track. How Elon Musk's Starship design and timeline has changed over 7 years. As big as Starship is, it was originally going to be bigger. In 2016, Elon Musk was dropping hints of a giant new spacecraft that would take people, lots of them, to Mars. He called it the Mars Colonial Transporter. I'm on the beach at South Padre Island, about 5 miles from the launch site, with hundreds of onlookers, SpaceX employees and members of the media. We are all watching a fog-shrouded rocket. Loud classic rock is blaring from speakers along this section of shoreline as waves crash on the sand. What Starship means to Elon Musk. Elon Musk has called it the holy grail for space technology. Starship, a new SpaceX rocket system that launched for the first time on Thursday, has been his pet project for years, but one with symbolic and financial importance for Mr. Musk, the founder of the rocket company. In his vision, Starship is the vehicle that will one day take people to Mars and allow humans to become a multiplanetary species. In the shorter term, its ultimate success would extend the dominance of SpaceX in the business of global space flight. People traveled from far and near to catch a view of the rocket. An endless procession of vehicles and their occupants traversed the lone road Wednesday evening toward Boca Chica Beach, not to catch a glimpse of an endangered ocelot or to observe nesting sea turtles at a wildlife refuge, but to gawk at Starship, the most powerful rocket ever built. Don Zolduval, 34, an auto body repairman, flew from Nashville to see the liftoff in person. The fact that we are living in tomorrow, that vibe, the positivity of the world, is what you see here, he said, watching tankers deliver propellants for Thursday's launch. You can feel it in the air. That sense of mission. The overall mood on the ground a day before the Starship launch was upbeat and optimistic, with Elon Musk and SpaceX enthusiasts descending again on the southernmost section of Texas after the scrubbed launch on Monday. Along the dunes, people wandered and took selfies with the nearly 400-foot-tall heavy-lift launch vehicle only a few hundred yards away. The day before the flight, the SpaceX launch site was a remarkably open area, allowing the site seekers an up-close look at the spacecraft. On the salt flat just south of the launch site, Charlie Probosco, 71, a retired engineer from Indiana, lamented Monday's postponed flight. My patience is about running out, he said. He arrived about 8 days ago expecting to be home already. Still, he is hopeful the rocket will fly Thursday morning. This is a moment in history, he said. I got to witness Sputnik when I was 5 years old. This is the start of something. The nature of our civilization is exploration. Not all of the visitors were from faraway places. Yuri Ruiz is an elementary school teacher in Brownsville, which, like Boca Chica, is in Cameron County, Texas. Her students will watch a live stream of the launch at school. I teach 4-year-olds. We've been talking about the solar system, she said. The kiddos are intrigued and want to know more in general. They know it's not a cartoon. It's real. And for that eventual purpose, Starship under development by Mr.